Welcome to the October 20th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness. God, that's a lot of 20s. Our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
So many 20s. It's almost like we have 2020 vision.
You know, I was actually going to make that joke, but specifically referring to that old Cinnamon Toast Crunch commercial. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know that it's taste you could see.
It is taste you could see, but like
Yeah.
the alien had an extra set of eyes.
Oh.
So the daughter was like, he's got 20/20 vision.
Well, that would be for 3 eyes, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I remember somebody had like 7 eyes. I don't know how much sense it made.
Well, anyway.
The point is to eat the cereal.
Spend the money, eat the fucking cereal.
Yeah. Look, we made this CG thing for you. Just go and buy it.
I mean, not every campaign can be as lucrative as Chex Quest. I mean, come on.
Chex Quest, best quest.
It's really, except for that new one.
It's really not very good.
No. It's not worth the free download.
Like, take a look at it to see the old level in HD, but then go and play the old level, which is still available free.
Speaking of free games on Steam, we had quite the week here.
We had
Sega.
a cavalcade.
Yeah, we really did. I mean, Sega, all of a sudden, to kind of celebrate its like anniversary sale that it's going on right now with Steam, decided to release 4 free games for a limited amount of time. And unfortunately, if this news is getting to you on Tuesday, you have already missed the window.
Yeah,
tomorrow is as of this recording, I think Monday. So yesterday, as of the release date, is going to be when they stop.
The cutoff.
Yeah, which is honestly a bummer. Like, why not just keep them up? Like, what's the big deal? Is there an administrative cost?
Well, what's also weird is that of the 4 released, I played 2 of them because those are the ones I cared about.
Sure.
And they're like 10 minutes long. They're like basically demos. So
yeah, and that's the thing. They're not like full ass games, but they are kind of like fan service kind of things.
One of them. I mean, I didn't play 2 of them, but of the 2 I did play, one is fan service and the other is reminiscence.
So we'll stop beating around the bush here. The real star of the show is Streets of Kamurocho, which is a mashup of Streets of Rage and Yakuza.
Yeah, it's basically just like as far as the characters are concerned, they're reskins, directly reskins. They have the same animations and stuff, but they're reskins. And the playable characters have slightly different idle animations, but they're all Axel. All 3 of them are Axel, including his grandpa.
I was gonna say nobody's gonna be Skate in this game.
I was wondering if Haruka would be the secret 3rd playable character. I don't know how much sense it would make, but she's the only contender for Skate. But it didn't end up happening.
Yeah. But you got a chance to play it. Does it have brand new music, or is it Streets of Rage 2? What's the experience with the levels are Streets of Rage 2, right?
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. The level is Streets of Rage 2. It is level 1,
Gotcha.
all the way up to Barbin. And
Who's Barbin?
Barbin's the first boss of Streets of Rage 2.
No. I mean, what new?
Oh, okay. No, I'll get there in a second because there's a few little nods. I'll get there in a moment.
By the way, this is 60th anniversary for Sega. It's an old company. We went over that on our Sega episode.
But in any case, it's just level 1 of Streets of Rage 2. So you go through the streets, you go through the bar, you fight behind the bar. That's what the boss is. And then it clears, and then it says round 2, not stage 2, round 2. And you play the level again, except there are more enemies and they hit harder, so it increases in difficulty, and it's just a score attack. So, play it once, you get the idea. Now, the playable characters are Kiryu and Majima, which is not surprising. Those are the big main characters of the series. Majima has barely been playable in the series, but he's larger than life and he shows up in just about all the games, so good. And again, both characters are Axel. There is a third unlockable character. I don't even know what you have to do to unlock him. Maybe just beat the stage. It's not hard. But I was trying to guess who it could be. Because if it's not Haruka, then who could it be? Because there are other playable characters in Yakuza 4, but why would you choose this one over that one? Is any of them more main than the others? Well, it turns out all of them are wrong. It's Ichiban, because he is the main guy in Yakuza 7, which is coming soon to the West. Sure. So it's kind of a promotional piece. So technically, Ichiban's first official Western release is this, like this little demo game, kind of. It's kind of funny. Now, characters and music. The sound effects are all there, but there is no Streets of Rage music. Instead, what they did is they made 16-bit versions of... I actually like this. It depends on the character you play. So for Kiryu, it's the Yakuza 1 and 2 Kamurocho battle theme. It's the basic fight theme, but 16-bit. For Majima, it's his boss theme when you have to fight him. He's had many versions of his boss theme, but they're all playing off of the same basic concept. So Ichiban, he had his own theme, but the game isn't out, so I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's the fight theme. So that was pretty cool. Now, as for the enemies, a lot of them are just generic goons because that's the majority of Yakuza anyway. You're fighting some guy. So the movesets are the same. You still have the signal guys that slide, except they're kind of rotund punks wearing sunglasses. You know, it's stuff like that. But there are 3 people who are named that you would actually recognize. So the first one, do you remember Jack, the little guy who flips the knife and throws it?
Yeah.
Well, that is Lao Ka Long from Yakuza 1. He was not the final boss, but he was a big deal. I don't know why they picked Lao Ka Long out of everybody else. He's not the type, but it was cool to see him. He still had his Naginata and everything, but he still flipped and threw knives, which that wasn't really his thing in the game, but and whatever. It's a Streets of Rage 2 spray swap. What the hell do you want? After him, when you fight in the bar, you know, like Electra with her whip?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So you don't have that. You have a guy with his own sort of moveset. This is the one guy from Yakuza 2, Shindo. That guy was just a straight-up asshole that you kick the ass of in Tojo headquarters in Yakuza 2. He's just in the bar in Streets of Rage 2. I don't know what that was all about, but cool, it's Shindo. Remember Shindo? Mm-hmm. And then the Barbin fight is Nishikiyama. He's the guy who the whole Yakuza 1 has been building up to. He's like the sort of final boss at the end. It's one of those like rival fights. Like, you guys are friends but have opposing viewpoints. So he does the thing where he takes off the shirt. You could see his koi tattoo on
I was going to say, back. He has another very elaborate tattoo.
Yeah, well. Every like really big Yakuza boss has a super huge tattoo on their back. He's got a koi, like the fish, because it's like, if he were in America instead, it would have been like a salmon. You know, it's endlessly struggling against the flow of the stream. So it's actually, like, to Americans, it's like a fish. But, like, when you look at its nature, it's determined and badass. It's kind of like how Japan has, like, a thing for, like, insect imagery, because insects are, like, badass. But in America, they're like, they're a bunch of bugs, though. But, like, if they were bigger, they'd be the scariest thing ever. It's like that for Nishiki's koi tattoo. So that's kind of cool. And items have been swapped as well. You get
also
little...
the koi is, it has a few...
Yeah, an elegance about it.
Well, it also has legends about it. Like, the koi is the basis for the magic carp transformation.
Yes, yeah, it's got the Chinese dragon mustache thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a koi in the legend travels through 7 gates and then becomes a dragon. So
yeah, there you go. You go. Which also explains the Pokemon thing.
Which, you know, it's a proxy for determination.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And becoming a dragon is also appropriate, considering the series is called Like a Dragon, and Kiryu is a dragon. He's got the dragon tattoo. But one other just minor thing, though, the garbage cans look a little bit different. The healing item is one of the things you could buy in the convenience store in Yakuza with a little X on it, like this is going to drive me crazy, the Staminan drink, the Staminan X, I guess. One thing is a little weird. I don't know if it's a glitch or what, but there's one guy who fights with the Chinese sword. Like, you know how some enemies can fight with a pipe and you can knock them over and they drop it? So when this guy drops that, it for some reason immediately turns into like a traffic cone looking thing, like a pylon. And you can pick it up and bash people with it, but like, that was weird. And the other thing, the backgrounds I find to be entertaining because you open by going through the big red gate like in the Yakuza game, and there are some little winks in the background. There are places you would recognize, like Serena, which is Kiryu's sort of home base in the first game. There's Popo, which is one of the convenience stores. There's Stardust, which is the host club, or hostess club, I believe. And the bar you go into is Bacchus, which is a bar you could go into in Yakuza, where you get the friendly bartender. Except in this game, the bartender is for some reason Nishiki, and you fight him. So it's amusing, but like the game's like 10 minutes long, but it's kind of cool, a little bit of fan service.
That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna look forward to playing that. I mean, it's a free thing, so
yeah, knock it out in a couple minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's Streets of Rage 2 level 1. It's not hard. It's fun.
And down the list is probably the second most exciting thing, which is called Golden Axed.
Yeah, it's not officially called that. They decided to be cute with the title because this is a canceled prototype, so it was axed. Ha 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 ha. So what this was supposed to be was a game called Golden Axe Reborn, because what's the last Golden Axe game we got? Like, the last one that plays like a standard gold... I'm sorry?
Beast Rider.
Well, okay, that's a good point. Let me recontextualize. Before Beast Rider, what was the last Golden Axe we got?
Probably Death Adder.
Yeah, Revenge of Death Adder arcade game, maybe the Duel on the Saturn, which is a fighting game.
Yeah, the Duel. No, the Duel is...
It doesn't even resemble... It's just like a fighting game of Golden... But like the last traditional playing Golden Axe game, there's Revenge of Death Adder on the arcade, but other than that, it's Golden Axe 3 on the frickin' Genesis. You could kind of cheat and say the Sega ages, like PS2... mediocre 3D-ish looking graphics version of Golden Axe 1. But what was originally supposed to happen is they were going to make something called Golden Axe Reborn. So this looks and plays like Golden Axe, but again with a 3D sort of effect. But there's more blood. It looks, grittier in that regard. It's got a little more violence to it. But, the game never ended up coming out. Now, if you go to the Steam page, it doesn't say this anymore, actually. What happens is the original Steam page said, both of them say, as a way of saying thank you to our fans, we have a working prototype of Golden Axe Reborn, a single level created as proof of concept, or what's known as a vertical slice. We've dubbed it, tongue-in-cheek, as Golden Axed. So, the next paragraph, though, is the important one. It says Golden Axed, excuse me. It says it may be janky, may be buggy, may be an artifact of its time, but it offers a unique glimpse into the prospect of a project that could have been, and a rare peek behind the curtain at the sometimes tumultuous world of video game development. We reached out to, and then third paragraph, we reached out to some of the original development team to bring this dusty gem to light, and they're proud that this project can be revived in some form to be shared with you, the fans. But the thing is, though, one of the people who actually worked on the game said that he was... I mean, I don't know about other people who did, but this person was not contacted about the release, and he had this whole story about how he had like 2 weeks to produce even this to show a proof of concept, and this is an extremely tiny game, which is like 5 minutes long, but the fact that he put it together in 2 weeks, if you actually look at it, is like ludicrous. But like he tried pitching it, and people were like, oh no, actually we were hoping we wanted more of like a 3D sort of God of War style brawler, which is not even close to what Golden Axe is. So this just sounds like people at the head of a company who are like, well, this is the kind of game we want, and the franchise we've chosen is Golden Axe, without knowing what the hell Golden Axe is. So this guy was like super pissed about that, and he was not contacted. And if you go into the game, now that it's launched, and if you go to the Steam page as well, the second paragraph, it may be buggy, it may be janky, has been changed to say it offers a unique glimpse into the prospect of a project that could have been a rare peek behind the curtain of the sometimes tumultuous world of video game development. So they cut out the part that says maybe janky, maybe buggy. Because no shit, it's janky and buggy. The guy was like super rushed to produce even what he did have. Like, it would have been better if he'd been given proper working conditions. So the guy was super pissed about like making fun of a game that like making fun of the fact that they made him unable to make a better working title. It's like it's not my fucking fault. Now actually launching the game, it's very basic. You immediately start as Axe Battler because this is proof of concept. Like here, it's a character, you know. So there's no Tyrus, there's no Gilius, but like, of course there isn't. You have a magic meter. You have 3 potions, but I don't know if I just couldn't figure it out or if it's just not programmed in. I wasn't able to cast magic, even though that's in the control scheme. I don't know if I was doing something wrong or what. But you could apparently block in the game, I think, it feels a bit different. But otherwise, it's the usual. You walk forward, up and down, jump. You actually have a light and heavy attack. Your heavy attack normally bashes an enemy on the head with the sword, and they kind of like crouch down like, and that gives you the opportunity to hit them some more. But if you hold the button down and you release the attack at its maximum length, which can be hard to do in a brawler where there's a bunch of dudes, you just straight up impale the guy and kick him off your sword. It's definitely grittier in that regard. The enemy types are all the same. You just fight a bunch of dudes and you go through them. The backgrounds and graphics actually look gorgeous, and there are certain objects you could bump into and knock over, which I thought was that's pretty advanced for, you know, fucking Golden Axe. And at the end of the room, you fight some more dudes, and there's Death Adder just chilling on his throne. And when I first played this, I was like, in level 1, but then again, it's proof of concept. It could have been level anything. And when you kill all the enemies, it just fades to black. Like, this is what we have. Mm-hmm. And to the developer's credit, I did not encounter any bugs that I was aware of. You walk forward and you kill shit. What do you want? So, you know, there you go. It's even shorter than Streets of Rage, because it's you know, it's not finished. It's like 5 minutes long, but it's interesting. It's an interesting look at what could have been. And they finally did make their 3D Golden Axe, which was, as you said earlier, Beast Rider, and it was a fucking train wreck. So that's the end of that.
Even for somebody who wanted to enjoy it like you.
And there are a couple of moments in the game, like you talk to Axe Battler, like he has a little bit of a sequence, like, is there going to be an Axe Battler game? Because Beast Rider is a Tyrus Flare game. Is there going to be an Axe Battler game? Is there going to be a Gilius Thunderhead game? Well, I don't know what they intended, but the answer now is certainly no.
Yeah. Wow. Well, the next game down the list was Endless Zone.
Yeah, these other two I downloaded because they were, you know, get them before they're gone, but I didn't actually try them, so I don't know anything about them.
Okay, so Endless Zone is a free game based off of Fantasy Zone. Okay. At least that has some Sega lineage to it.
Yeah, that's very, very much Sega. I mean, I keep mentioning this, but they appear in almost every Yakuza game. I mean, there's the obvious arcade game. That's what Fantasy Zone was. It's on the Master System. It's been around.
So instead of Opa Opa, you play as Opbot.
That's cute.
But yeah, it looks a lot more realistic. It has a much more realistic art style than Fantasy Zone. It's done with 3D graphics.
You know, it's kind of funny because on one hand, like, oh, cool, more realism. But on the other hand, Fantasy Zone was supposed to be this cutesy, cartoony thing. So it's amusing to see just, like, this new game sort of as an alternate take.
Yeah. So, a lot of people are complaining about this one in that, like, it apparently looks and sounds good, but it just controls badly.
Yeah, that's one thing I should actually mention about Golden Axe as well. It did feel a little stiff, especially with the vertical movements. But again,
21 for 2 weeks worth of work.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. It's like basically any complaint about the game is invalid. It was like.
It's a freebie.
It was forced to be a rush job, and then it was quashed. Like, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah. And then the final one is Armor of Heroes, which takes place in the...
That was the multiplayer-only one, right?
I think so. This one kind of has plays like combat for the Atari 2600. So it's a bird's eye view... like,
when you're tanks or something? Okay.
And you fight each other. It's a PvP.
Those games are fun.
Couch co-op, destructible environments, 9 game modes. I mean, that's pretty. That sounds like there's a lot going on. It's very similar to Combat. It takes place in the Company of Heroes universe, which is Company of Heroes is one of Sega's franchises. So
yeah.
It's based off of that. I mean, let's face it, these games are basically advert games. You have a couple nods to Sega history, and you have a couple games that relate to current games going on, like Company of Heroes and Yakuza. So, I mean, what do you want for these kinds of things? I downloaded them. I guess they just don't want them being out there for very long because they're not like products. They're just kind of
like the most full-fledged.
Take a look at this.
One.
This is interesting kind of thing.
Yeah, like Streets of Kamurocho is literally one level on loop, and Golden Axe Reborn was not intended to be like a proper release. So it's just like, here's this bunch of code we have left over.
Yeah, exactly. So, don't get too upset if you missed out on them. It's just kind of like, kind of cool.
They're novelties. That really, I can't speak for Endless Zone and Armor of Heroes personally, but the other two, they're novelties. They're cool, but like, oh man, I want to play Streets of Kamurocho again. It's a couple minutes long of one level.
And speaking of freebies on Steam, there was one other game that released for free on Steam this week that I was completely floored by. When I went to Steam to download those Sega games, there was a big banner on Steam that took me back.
Was this a horse that had evidently been whipped to death wearing a certain sign on its side?
This is RuneScape. Actually.
Yeah, Lazarus #1.
Yeah. So, I just thought it was an interesting thing to talk about, considering that like RuneScape is one of like the OG MMOs. I mean, it's not ever. EverQuest is probably the one that everybody points to as like that Ultima Online, I think.
Oh yeah, they did have it online.
Yeah, there was Ultima Online, and a lot of people played Ragnarok during this period, but RuneScape was one of those that was kind of almost. I think they even had a browser version back in the day, right?
I think that might have been the only version of RuneScape I'd seen back in the day. Was a browser version, because I think I saw some kid messing around with it at school at one point.
Yeah, my roommate in college, freshman year, played RuneScape just for a little bit to kind of pass the time because we didn't have a whole lot of money back then. So, it was one of those things. Obviously, the game is much more upgraded than it used to be, and like there are a lot of people who kind of stuck along in it just because it's one of those free games that you could just kind of do whatever you want in. And I mean, for what it is or what it used to be,
it's ambitious.
The new version of it actually looks pretty good. Just like for being a low-tech free game based off of an ancient game, from way back in the early 2000s. It's a almost 20-year-old game. I mean, it may even be a 20-year-old game. So I just thought it just was like, oh shit, like RuneScape, really? Like I totally
it was just like Rogue. It's like, oh.
Well, like this though is an active game. I mean, like Rogue is like that's the old, ancient version that they dug up.
I'm just saying, like I didn't think I'd see this again. But Rogue was not upgraded as far as I'm aware.
No, it really hasn't. I think it just has color, which is the only thing that I saw that was like kind of like a visual upgrade.
Sure.
But yeah, RuneScape, man, wow. Get ready to collect some chicken feathers because that's what you're going to be doing when you first go in there. I remember my roommate just killing chickens and getting feathers for a while there.
Nice.
Because that's how you grind it in the beginning. It's a grind fest, just like any of the free to play games.
That's the whole thing. If you could just beat it, then you'd stop playing it.
I mean, the whole thing is just being with your friends and kind of making your progressions and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting more than anything. Now you have a new item here from a certain web slinger.
I mean, this is a really quick thing to mention, but yeah, in the upcoming Miles Morales Spider-Man game, I think if you have the Spider-Cat costume in your backpack, there's a little spider cat. Like, it's there. And I think in some
Cute.
moves, it'll, like, in some way contribute to the moves, which is just like, we did a little extra thing with the spider cat. You know, it's just an amusing little, I don't even know if it's an Easter egg, it's just an amusing little extra touch, I guess. That's really it. That's really all the whole thing is.
Spider Cat, and I'm a Spider-Man fan.
Yeah, I didn't either. I knew about Spider Ham. I mean, and that's before
and that's
Into the Spider-Verse. I'd heard of that anyway, but Cat I wasn't aware of.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, like that's the whole story. Just it's a spider cat, and they had like a little couple second video of just like the cat popping out. Oh my god! And I think you could pet the cat, or maybe as part of your scene animation or whatever. It's just an amusing little thing. That's really it.
Nice. Well, moving on from that, we have a few games that were released this week. So, probably the biggest one is going to be Mario Kart Live.
I've seen a little bit of video of it in action, and
it's awesome.
I mean, what I assumed it would be was just like you look at your house and the remote control car driving through it on the TV, and it is that. But what I didn't expect was the augmented reality aspect of it, because it comes with little things that you could place for your track.
Yeah,
like if there's
like
a turn.
Gates.
That's a thing. Yeah, if you put down a gate that signifies you've completed a lap, it'll be like lap 2. And also there are little strips with arrows on them you can put down for like when you have to make a turn that are like in the regular Mario Kart games. There's a sharp turn. You
can make them all kind of crazy and loop within each other and all that kinds of stuff.
But even on top of that, though, it's just a little white strip that you put down for the arrows, but when you see it in the game, it looks like what's in the other Mario Kart games where the lights are moving across the arrows. It looks like a video game thing, even though it's a strip of paper that you put there. Like, I thought that was really clever. It's like, it makes it feel more like a video game instead of you attached a camera to your remote control car. It actually it helps. I think it's quite cool.
It's an alternate reality of course game for sure.
Yeah, and you could see Mario in the car, like cartoon Mario. Like if you reverse, cartoon Mario like does that thing where he puts his arm back and looks back over. Like, you know, that's not in the real remote control car, but it looks cool.
Well, the in-game avatar can also like. You could get different costumes for him. You could be like
that's cool.
The construction Mario from Mario Maker.
Very nice.
Which is pretty cool. I really like this. So for anybody who doesn't know, we went over this when it was announced. But what it is it's a what is an alter reality
like augmented
reality game that Nintendo came out, where you have a remote control Mario Kart that has a camera on the top of it, and you control the remote control car with your Switch, and you have a game that goes along with it that you download for free. You need to.
You already paid for it, so now just download it.
Exactly. But it's basically like a full Mario Kart game, and they give you all these gates to set up around your house to signify, what shape you want the track to be in.
You have to follow the path, so you can't just go in a circle around your little gate and cheat.
Yeah, and it's neat because and within the game you are racing ghost carts, of other characters that really aren't there, but they're there within the game.
I was wondering about that. By the way, I know that each set comes with one character. Like, you can buy the Mario set, you can buy the Luigi set. But
that's it.
But if your friend also buys Mario, or if they buy Luigi, can you race each other?
I don't know I don't know if it's required that you have different characters in order to do the 2-player mode. I don't know. But the thing is with that is that in order, it's an expensive set.
It's like $90, $100.
It's $100, but it's worth it because of what technology is in it. Like the remote control car has a rechargeable battery pack in it. It's not cheap. It controls well. You have the alternate reality game to go along with it, and you have all of the materials to make your make your
your course.
Yeah, your course.
And actually,
in there.
well, that's the interesting thing about this game is that there have been real life remote control Mario karts before, but it was just a regular remote control car, except it has the novelty of being a Mario one of those. But this is like,
this is hyper.
You could see through it, and it turned it into the video game. This is what they've wanted to be, and now they are, which is pretty clever.
Yeah, and it has a working camera that streams right to your Switch while you're playing. So I mean, this is not a cheap.
You can run around your car through the house and navigate it properly, despite not being in the same room as the car itself, because you're at the TV or your tablet.
It's a really neat idea, and I think it's going, and your character in the game can get hit by road hazards, and it'll stop the real remote control car while it's experiencing road hazards, like blue shells and things like that. So
that is very clever. This overall isn't really like my thing. I'm not gonna get this, but it's pretty genius.
I think it's perfect, especially if you have young kids around the house, or even pets. It can turn into like a playtime with the pets, which I have a dog and a cat, and my dog is gonna go crazy once I have this set up. I was very lucky, and I was able to get this released on this released on Friday.
Yeah, it was just a few days ago.
On Friday the 16th, and what ended up happening is, just like with every really cool Nintendo limited kind of thing, it sold out immediately, and you can't get one if you tried. And if you go on eBay, they're already being scalped, obviously, because this is a Nintendo limited kind of thing, and Nintendo didn't make tons of them. It's one of those things. But I think the Luigi one's even harder to find than the Mario one, which it would be. But I was able to get a hold of the Mario one. My local Best Buy had it in stock. I was like, I forgot. I was after work. I was sitting there I had just finished dinner. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and I was just sitting in my chair. I was like, oh shit, I forgot that Mario Kart Live was released today, and I forgot to check the websites to try to get one. And luckily, my local Best Buy had 2 left in stock, and I was able to do the order and pick up option. So I went to the Best Buy the next day to go pick it up. It was already paid for, but you saw a whole bunch of them in the hold area for people who did the same exact thing as I did. But here's the thing. It is very impractical to buy 2 of them because it's $200. That's number one. Number 2, you need 2 Switches in order to make it work. So, it's really designed for your friend to buy one as well as you, and then come over with it. So it's not really meant for you to buy like both sets and then use them. You know what I mean? So, I kind of think to myself, I'm like, I kind of want the Luigi one, but I wouldn't be able to use it at all. I would have to have a friend come over with a Switch, in order to make it work. So, it's really cool though. I mean, all the reviews say that it's more fun just to play it one player anyway.
It probably is, because I did just ask about 2-player, but at the same time, you're gonna be like bumping into each other trying to get ahead, and it's just gonna be a pain in the ass.
Plus, I mean, there's probably enough chaos going in your house to begin with, and that's kind of the fun.
Even if you don't have a pet, it's just weird to navigate.
Well, I'm counting on my dog being a road hazard. Like I want it to be kind of like that, so like the dog chases it, that kind of thing, and it would be fun. But yeah, the build quality is excellent. It's just really neat. It has I love it. It's a little bit smaller than you'd think it would be. It's about like 6 inches long and maybe about like 4 inches high. But
for some reason I did kind of picture it being a little hefty.
It really isn't. It's a toy.
Maybe just because the box is big, because it has the stuff you need to set up.
Exactly. It's a well-made toy, so it's maybe the size of I don't know, a size of a.
Picture a ruler, but half of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just well made. It doesn't feel cheap at all. Like it's definitely a high quality Nintendo product.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I wanted to talk about it because like I really love it when Nintendo does stuff like this. Like I really like the Labo sets.
Yeah,
For
Nintendo's
instance.
always experimenting.
And I think they're best when they do things like this because this is something that they have over all the other companies. No other company does this. Like Sega doesn't. Sony doesn't do this. Microsoft doesn't do this. You know, they don't. They only stay in their lane. And Nintendo experiments because they.
Yeah, Nintendo's done like I think like a fucking sewing machine, like like a biking exercise
Sure.
game, like for one of those
even something like
gym bikes.
Even something like the the Fit Ring or the
Ring Fit, yeah,
or Wii Fit.
Well, actually, speaking of the ring, the Fit Ring or the Ring Fit or whatever,
yeah,
that was one of those things that also rapidly disappeared from internet.
Yeah, because
presence.
during COVID, people knew that they needed to get some exercise at home. They don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah, well, what was kind of funny though was that like someone online was like, "Does anyone know where you could find one of these?"
Nope.
And I actually just, well, the funny thing is like on the websites they're all gone, but one of my local GameStops, there are 5 of them just chilling there. I just walked in and picked it up like
Good.
it was nothing. There you go, just mailed it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I really I really thought this was a cool idea, and I'm glad I was able to get one because I think this is going to be one of the top toys for the holiday season this year, and I don't think I'm wrong
I can
about
believe that. Yeah,
I don't think I'm wrong about that. I think it's going to be very hard to find one of these, and God only knows whether Nintendo will produce more because they kind of move on to the next thing.
Well, honestly, like there are lots of things where you could say, why the hell don't you produce more? But this is one of those things where I don't see them mass producing these. This whole thing seems like it's kind of a flash in the pan sort of thing.
It's just something fun that they knew they could come up with, and they probably produced as many as they thought they could sell, and of course they sold out immediately just because that's what this is. But that's what these kinds of things are.
Well, that is what this is, but Nintendo also has a notorious habit of being like very conservative with its estimates of how many will sell.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, they'll come out with a billion Animal Crossing amiibos for a game that nobody liked.
Oh yeah, the one Animal Crossing game that nobody cares about.
Well, the Wii U one, which isn't even a real Animal Crossing.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
And now that everybody's into Animal Crossing, they want to get those and they can't because they're they're obviously been all clearanced out and sold out. So
yeah, I mean, at least in that case, there's a legitimate explanation. Like no one wanted them. That's why they don't have more. Like, got it.
But the thing is, like, once they made a use case for it, now it's like impossible. I have KK Slider and the alpacas, and that's it. Because I wanted the KK Slider one at the time because he's a.
Oh yeah, it came in a 3-pack.
Yeah, he's a in-game representation of Tota KK, the composer for.
The composer's a dog?
Yes.
That's incredible.
With eyebrows, yeah. You can play the guitar.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like he was. I wasn't into Animal Crossing until this latest one. And even then, I more liked watching my fiance play it because it's just she never plays any video games. So like this was like she was really into it. For
get the bells, pay off Tom Nook. Get more bells.
Moving on from that, this is something I just wanted to quickly mention because it's kind of a unique story. But Shoot 1 Up DX showed up on Switch this week. Do you know anything about Shoot 1 Up?
I've never even heard of it.
So that's very reasonable that you haven't heard of this. This is a game that started off as an Xbox Live indie title.
Huh.
And it's probably one of the more prominent games outside of maybe Cthulhu Saves the Earth and Breath of Death 7. Those games. And maybe the Penne Arcade Parts 3 and 4. So those are probably the most popular ones. But Shoot 1 Up is another game made by Mommy's Best Games. And what it is it's a 2D vertical shmup where the gimmick is that you constantly are collecting 1-ups, but instead of having a bank of 1-ups, every single 1-up is another duplicate of your ship on the screen. And you have to manage your cloud of ships, identical ships, to use to get through the level and shoot the bad guys, and you have to dodge everything as best you can with a gigantic cloud of 1-ups. It's pretty awesome. So you have 12 of your ship on screen at once in a different formation. To attack the bad guy. It's a lot of fun, and they just made a bunch of improvements and stuff and put it on Switch. So, luckily the Mommy's Best Games had made it to Steam before that, so you could still buy this game on Steam. But Shoot 1-Up, in particular, doesn't have the updates that the new version on the Switch does. So. But this is the company that also made the 2D Metal Slug-esque Serious Sam game. If you remember,
I don't
that
even
game.
think I knew about that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's probably their most prominent game. I forget what that one is called.
Yeah, I mean, I never really followed Serious Sam, so there's that. But yeah, I never even knew he had a 2D iteration.
Yeah, it was called maybe Double Impact or something.
Yeah, some play on the word 2 or the number 2.
Yeah, let me double check that. I have it. So
yeah, fair enough.
Serious Sam Double D XXL. That's it.
All right, there you go.
But that game's a lot of fun. But yeah, the Mommy's Best Games tends to make really goofy, funny games with a lot of ridiculous bad guys and stuff. And Shoot 1-Up has this naked cyborg lady with robot body parts. It's really pretty funny. And it the bad guys in this are off the wall. But it's really fun, and it's not very expensive. I think it's $5. So it's totally worth your time. But I just kind of like a success story where an obscure service. At this point, you can't download those titles anymore. Xbox Live indie games are all but lost now unless you pirate them. So I just kind of like the fact that there was some life for pretty much all the best games. Got some life after that service, so that's great. Moving on, this week I just kind of wanted to mention this, but Amnesia Rebirth is getting a release this week coming up.
Yeah, a lot of people are hyped about that.
That's going to be a remake of the original game, right?
Is it?
I believe.
I actually didn't know what Rebirth was. With a title like that, it sounds like it could be, but that actually makes me less interested in it because I already beat the original.
Well, I mean, yeah, let me see here.
I know that Machine for Pigs didn't get as high praise as the first Amnesia did, but I just knew that Amnesia Rebirth is coming, but that's all I knew. Is just that.
No, this looks like a new
exists.
one. It's a new Descent into Darkness from the creators of the iconic Amnesia series. So okay. So it's Frictional Games returning to the series because Machine for Pigs
different company
was a different developer. So actually, this should be a return to form, which is probably why it's called Rebirth. So that's actually pretty cool. So this will be a third game in the Amnesia series. So I was wrong about that. So that's actually good because you have, a new game. And a lot of people really love the Amnesia games. So they're certainly spooky. They're basically continuation, like a spiritual successor to the Penumbra games, right? Which is what the original. One of those original I remember Penumbra because you get the first one for free back in the day. It was one of those games that we talked about in forums hey, you got to try out this new free game, so it's it's pretty cool that they're able to continue this series, and a lot of people still say like some of the best horror stuff is from this company. So
Yeah, they have good stuff.
so I'm excited for that whenever that comes out. This Tuesday, yeah. So, also wanted to mention this briefly because I don't know much about it because I'm not playing it personally, but I'd be remiss to say if I didn't bring up the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 is out in early access, which is pretty cool that they're doing this as an early access, to make sure that the launch goes well for when it hits 1.0.
Yeah, and it's been a while since Baldur's Gate 2, and people love Baldur's Gate 2, so the hype for 3 was real.
Both games are well beloved, so...
Yeah, but 2 like really stands out, and it's kind of a shame because I actually haven't played 2, but I did play 1. 1 was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get out the kinks, and they really want to get the systems down.
Yeah.
Which is a good way to do it, because, like, it's a D&D system, so it can be, like, really OP or really weak in some areas without some
actually, one thing I thought was pretty funny is that there's pretty heavy character customization if you're into that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a pretty funny tweet that the developers sent out, which was, we have analytics that show what kind of characters various people make, and statistically, it looks like the majority of you made, like, a default vault dweller. Like, really? We have so many cool options. We worked hard on these. Exercise them. Like, it's boring. Stop it. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people try creating, like, their own faces, so that's, there's probably that, but it's still funny, though. You can make, like, a devil-looking character, but no, you make a dude. All right.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, that the first thing that you're going to create is most people are going to create an avatar of themselves, like a cooler-looking version of themselves. I mean, that's what I exclusively almost do in any create a character mode. But, like, Baldur's Gate, if this is as good as the previous entries, this will have a long shelf life, so people will delve into it later, and get really funky with it, I'm sure. But I just wanted to mention it because it's a beloved series, and it looks like it's on the path to being another good game. But I like the fact that they were like, we want to get this right, let's release it in early access, so that way it's perfect upon launch. So I actually really like that. In fact, when a game releases in early access, I know like the vast majority of them, when they hit 1.0, are like amazing games. Like I can't remember the last like game that like left early access that just wasn't that great. You know what I mean? Like it's really well refined by the time it hits 1.0. So. Moving on from that, there have been significant updates to King of Fighters 2002, the Steam version of that. So King of Fighters has a ton of entries in the series, going all the way back to 1994.
Yeah, there's I think even
14 of them.
Yeah, 14, and that's not including some of the spin-off titles.
Correct.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, and it is one of the most beloved fighting franchises of all time. Not nearly as played as some of the big ones as of right now, but it's certainly one of the classic series that has survived.
Yeah, and it also depends on your region of the world. Like America, like the U.S. was more interested in Street Fighter, but I think like certain parts of South America and possibly Mexico were very much into KOF.
Latin America loves the SNK ones because that's what they had down there. They had really good distribution of their arcade cabinets, and you also got to think that the cost of operating one of a Neo Geo cabinet was a lot less than any other really arcade machines, because all you had to do was buy the cartridge. You didn't have to buy a new system, a new TV and new cabinet every single time one of those.
That is true. You could have a cabinet that looks like one game, but just put in a different one. And of course, even in the States, we had some of those multi cabinets, which is like there's 4 games in here, pick one.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, the best games in the series are widely considered to be King of Fighters 98, the upgraded version of that. I think it's called Ultimate Match. 2002 is another one. It is one of the next best ones. This one's called a limited match. I think is the upgraded version of that, which has more characters. And then after that, probably the best ones are 13, which is
13 came back in a big way because people were disappointed by 12.
Yeah, 12 was like a lot of people say that was like the Street Fighter Alpha of King of Fighters games.
12 looked absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, it's
but
the most beautiful pixel game ever.
Yeah, it had a pretty bare bones cast. It didn't even include Mai, which was shocking.
It's basically their version of Chun-Li, like one of the major characters. But King of Fighters 13 was a big, huge improvement, and did all of the things that it should have done to fix 12. It is basically 12, but way better. And then the most recent one, which is 14, which is also quite good. That is the first 3D rendered 2D game in the series. So 2D playing. There were obviously spin-offs of 3D playing ones, kind of, but none of them really took off except for Maximum Impact. Those got pretty good, but they still didn't reach the height of the 2D ones. But these are like the biggest ones, and so 2002 has been on Steam for a long time, but they are doing rollback netcode, which is the new hotness in terms of the best netcode out there for fighting games, and they are doing a beta of the rollback netcode right now, and the popularity of 2002 has really exploded, which is great for an old title that has been around for a really long time. It is getting some buzz in the fighting game community. A lot of people are going back to it because it's really exciting to after all this time have a way to play it, with matchmaking and good latency and all that other stuff. This is just you wouldn't want to play this game any other way nowadays. So it's really cool that this community beta test is really doing well, and they really want to. Once again, this is one of those the early access stuff that I was talking about, where they want to get it perfect. So they're doing a really extensive beta test in order to make sure that it's good, and that's fantastic considering usually a game like this you wouldn't think they would go back and fix. So it's really cool. So it's getting a resurgence, and this is one of the best games in the series. So there's a lot of people that could probably teach you how to play this game, or even just you can find a match really easily right now if you want to play it. So I certainly recommend it because this is a good game in the series. It's a really one of the best ones. And then also they announced that the latest version of Guilty Gear Double X, or I guess it's X2. It was the way you say it out loud?
Maybe. I don't know how you say any of the freaking game's titles.
Well, okay, so you have Guilty Gear, and then you have Guilty Gear X, and then
X was on the Dreamcast, I think.
Yeah, and then you have Guilty Gear X2, which is basically Double X. And then it has a whole bunch of different.
Yeah, then there's Accent Core. There's Accent Core Plus.
Oh, well, it was Sharp. It was Sharp Reload way before that.
Oh God, whatever.
You forgot about Sharp Reload. It actually got popular with Sharp Reload, but Guilty Gear is one of the series that's just really was a lot of fun. It still is. It's still one of the major fighting franchises. I can't keep up with it because there's so many goddamn iterations, but. Accent Core Plus R. Wow, it's not even plus, it's Plus R is the latest version. And this has been on Steam, but they announced that it is also getting rollback netcode sometime soon. So my favorite iteration was always Guilty Gear X2, just because that's when I played it.
I was going to say it's similar for me. In college, my roommate had Accent Core. So that's the version I got used to seeing.
Yeah, so Zerd is the 3D one using their newer engine that is a gorgeous game, by the way.
Yeah, they somehow keep making the game look prettier. I don't know how they do it. Everyone keeps saying, well, you can't get better than this, and then they do it.
Yeah, I mean, Zerd is obviously X the third, so that's why they call it that. But yeah, those games are great. That whole lineage, there's like a billion of those, updates too for that. But this is back when the graphic style was still completely hand drawn and 2D. So I absolutely recommend going back to it. The music is phenomenal. It's just amazing.
Oh yeah.
And they'll probably go through a beta just like King of Fighters is doing. So I'm really looking forward for a really nice update and a resurgence in one of like the best 2D fighting games of all time. This is up there.
Shout out to ABBA's theme, by the way. Like, based on the band ABBA, but A, it's only one B. Keep in Gates. That's a damn good one. I love that theme.
It has some of the best music of all time in a video game. It just rocks so hard. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at a lot of fighting games, but it's just so much fun to play that I don't care whether I'm good at it or not. Moving on from that, another really nice update to a beloved game. Stardew Valley is getting same-screen co-op, which is really
that's
neat.
Pretty cool. That's literally a game changer.
Yeah, in fact, I might even get the game now because...
I was gonna say, if your girlfriend loves Animal Crossing,
then
it's
exactly right.
This is like co-op Harvest Moon. Yeah, sure, I'll have it.
But not only that, but this has like a more developed story than Animal Crossing does, and you can date people in it, which is also different than the Animal Crossing experience. And
that's a Harvest Moon holdover.
And it also has a dungeon mode too, if you want to do a battle thing. So I might just get Stardew Valley now that it's been upgraded. That's really cool because I could imagine playing co-op with my fiance. She probably would get jealous of the in-game girlfriends, but you're spending time with her now instead of me.
I see how it is. You love her so much, why don't you marry her? Okay, I will.
And then you marry her in the game. And then you could have a kid and all that stuff too. So that's really cool. But I just think that's cool, and I really think my fiance will like this game even better than Animal Crossing, just because there's more of an end game to it, and there's more things to do, if you ask me.
And if you get enough fruits, it becomes Danimal Crossing.
No, that's the yogurt version. Everybody likes.
Oh, excuse me.
But anyway,
the monkey doesn't say yogurt-licious. Let's be clear on this.
Fruity-licious.
Yeah.
But yeah. Moving on from that, I don't even know if you knew this or not, but Frog Fractions Game of the Decade Edition has gotten a massive update.
I thought every version of Frog Fractions was the Game of the Decade Edition. Best game you ever made. You don't need to play anything else.
This got a gigantic update with what the update says to be 100+ new secrets added to Frog Fractions.
What the fuck?
Hat DLC. So if you had bought the DLC, which you should because it's part of the Hat DLC is not just cosmetic. It is something else. So for sure, make sure you buy that, because like the actual Frog Fractions game, the way it was originally released, is free. But there's more. Let's just say there's more content if you buy the hat.
Sounds good.
It's not just a hat. Let's just put it that way. But it says it's just a hat though. So I don't know if this guy is allergic to money or what, but he really wants you to have to work in order to find how to give him money, which is really funny. Hat not recommended for first-time players of Frog Fractions, so that probably means it's
might get too hard.
No, I think maybe it has some commentary or something included, but I haven't played it myself, but I know it's something different. It's something more than just a hat. I know that for a fact. I just don't know what else but it's less than $8 at the moment, and 100+ secrets. I mean, why not? It's awesome. To probably the funniest game ever made. I can't think of anything funnier. Can you?
It depends on your kind of humor, but it's way up there.
For me and you, though, I can't think of anything.
Because like Shut Up and Jam Guide and the Lazarus games have
that's way up there,
different kinds of humor, but they're also hysterical.
I mean, there's Jazz Punk too. That's in the same league, but this
I would say level 1 of Jazz Punk, because after a point you get the idea. But yes.
But I can't think of anything legitimately funnier than Frog Fractions as like a complete product. Like you definitely want to beat Frog Fractions. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you do.
Because every bit of it is fantastic. I mean, a Bobo's Big Adventure is really goddamn funny too. But still,
it has its moments, but it's mostly remember these Nintendo games.
Yeah, exactly. Revealing the penis-shaped map in Zelda was one of the funniest things.
That was so stupid.
That ever happened in my life. I was just like, oh my god, and literally the achievement is I see what you did there.
Yeah,
it's so good. Also, another release is this was a blast from the past. We mentioned this before, but Prinny 1 and 2 have been released on Switch.
Those were originally what, PSP titles?
They were both PSP titles that did well for themselves at the time, but will obviously do better on Switch. They are Ghosts and Goblins-esque games that are a lot of fun. And instead of like having multiple lives, you are 99 different Prinnies.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whole thing with Prinnies is if you chuck them at somebody, they explode like a bomb. So don't get hit.
Yeah, they're disposable. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and you don't need to know much about Disgaea in order to play them. They're fun on their own. If you'd like Ghosts and Goblins style gameplay, it's obviously going to be a little bit easier than
most things are just inherently easier than Ghosts and Goblins.
Well, I mean, even the updated like Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins is like it's easier than the original games because by its nature it has
the original games
system.
Were arcade quarter munchers.
Yeah, exactly. It had a save system and was fair to some degree.
Yeah.
The original game has those ladder section in level 2 is fucked up.
With the ogre house?
Yeah,
fuck
thing.
you. Yeah.
Fuck that
Have
thing.
fun with that.
That is probably the most unfair thing in almost any video game that I've ever played that I like. Another classic as well. This some blast from the past here. Shantae Risky's Revenge Director's Cut, which is the second Shantae game, if you're counting.
It depends on that, right? This comes after And the Pirate's Curse, right?
No, Risky's Revenge is definitively the second game.
It's literally the first game after the Game Boy Color game?
Correct. It was originally a DSiWare exclusive, and they ported it to PC a lot longer after that, and now to the Switch finally.
Yeah, and PS4.
Yeah, and PS4. Risky's Revenge is a beautiful, beautiful game, and it really was the killer app for DSiWare.
And I hear it's one of the better Shantae games, although Seven Sirens is apparently pretty kick-ass. But
they're all good.
Risky's Revenge is very good.
They're all good. I think the first one is probably the worst because it's just so goddamn hard. It's too hard. It's not balanced well. But the second one, it fixes a lot of that, and it is a beautifully animated game. And it's really cool that it was a DSi game. Like it was a small game that looked beautiful, which is really neat. After that, Analogue made a surprise announcement this week. We got a tease for it last week, but people were speculating for a while what this may be, and it turned out to be what people thought it might be, which is people thought that their best guess was a long shot, though. People thought that maybe it might be a TurboGrafx stand-in FPGA system. And in order for that to happen, it needs to be a CD based thing. In order for that to be completely compatible with every format of TurboGrafx, it's kind of a pain in the ass. There's regular cartridge games, which are there's hue cards. They're kind of credit card style.
Yeah, it's like the Master System. There were cartridges and there were cards, but for the TurboGrafx, there were cards and CDs.
Yeah, so there were card shaped cartridges called hue cards. They were also called turbo chips in the U.S. Then there were regular CD games for the Turbo CD when that came out. Then there were the Super CD-ROM games, which you needed to have a RAM upgrade for. And then there were arcade CD games, which you needed an even further RAM upgrade for.
That's freaking nuts.
And then there was also Super Graphics, which is a even further upgrade, similar to like a 32X or something. Just
I was actually going to mention, it's like, I want to play a Sega CD 32X game. Like, your mom isn't letting you get all that shit.
I have a Super Graphics with a CD-ROM drive, so I have the ability to play them all officially. But so that's 5 different formats. This new one can play them all, which is really impressive.
And not only that, but considering how old and in the US obscure the TurboGrafx was,
yeah.
the Analogue Turbo Duo CD is on pre-order for $200, which at this point that's cheaper than the real thing, like by a lot.
Yeah. In fact, if you wanted to get a Super Graphics, I think Super Graphics go for like $400 now. Like a good condition one, without the box or anything, just working. I was very happy to get mine for like $150 back in the day. I got it for a steal. But Super Graphics are super rare because they were only produced for like something like half a year. Because there's only 6 games that it has exclusive to it, and like a couple games that work for like both formats. So like really, it's only there. Like Super Graphics collecting is only for super fans, and it's not hard to get all the games for it. It just aren't. But I personally like that stuff a lot because I love the TurboGrafx. It's like one of my favorite systems ever. I am still kind of. Do you know when the pre-order goes up, or is it already up?
I actually don't know, because like we've talked about this before. Like the Neo Geo is known for being mostly fighting games. The TurboGrafx, while it does have different titles, a lot of its stuff is shooters, and that's right up your alley.
Games,
yes, that's right up your alley.
Yeah.
Not up mine. There are only like maybe I could probably count on one hand the number of TurboGrafx games I'm like legitimately interested in. I don't care enough to get it, but it's very cool that this exists.
Also, at this point, if you wanted to get into TurboGrafx stuff and don't want to do emulation, because emulation is a pain in the ass, we understand that. Getting an original system, that can play most of the games. Like a lot of the best games for this system are Super CD games. Like if you wanted to play the most popular game on the system, the game that everybody really wants, the most sought after game is Castlevania Dracula X Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
If you wanted to play that, you would need to be able to play Super CD-ROM games. The ancillary formats are arcade, are the arcade format, which only has a handful of games, and only one of them is super good, and the rest of them are arcade ports of things that have arcade perfect ports now that you can get so easily. Like, why would you play the arcade, the arcade PC Engine CD version of Art of Fighting now? Like, there's no reason to.
Like, come on.
There's no reason to. You could play that on your Switch and it would be arcade perfect. But if you wanted to do that, you would need to get a Turbo Duo, what's called a Turbo Duo, or a PC Engine Duo. And that would have like the upgraded version to play like the Super CD games and all that stuff. Here's the problem: a lot of those systems were made with really poor capacitors. So unless the system has had capacitor replacements since then, it probably is on its way to not working. I know I had one that basically the entire sound cut out, and I needed to have somebody completely overhaul all my capacitors and fix a couple traces inside my system in order to fix it back up to the point where it would work again. And I needed to find somebody who could do it, which is wasn't easy to do at the time. Unless you're part of some circles, like you might not, back in the day, you wouldn't know even where to find those kinds of people, right? So, if you wanted to play the other formats, forget about it. Like I said, getting a super graphics system that works, that doesn't have the problem of that it is inherent in super graphics, where it has this post in the middle that like destroys the PCB in the middle. It was very poorly made. It would be nearly impossible. So this is actually a really awesome thing. I mean, $200, and you don't need to buy anything else. Like with the Mega NT, in order to play like Sega CD games, you would need a Sega CD system.
The Mega SG.
The Mega SG. I'm sorry. If you wanted to do that, you would need a Sega CD system to hook up to it. You don't need that in this case. They are actually giving you the CD-ROM drive in order, as part of the product. This is great. I mean, I it's hard for me to see any flaws with this. It has worldwide compatibility. It plays all the formats. It scales up to 1080p. It has probably adjustable audio stuff going on with it. It plays all the original cartridges, plays all the original discs. There was no region locking or anything like that in those original systems, so you don't have to worry about that. You could probably play burned CDs as well without any problem. And keep in mind, analog systems have a history of getting jailbreaks as well, so you could probably just load everything onto the damn thing via SD card eventually anyway. So I think this is a really great plug-and-play system. I mean, it also has it also has the it also has the ability to use wireless controllers as well. So it includes a 2.4 gig wireless receiver, which is pretty cool. It has the controller and everything. So this is really, really neat. I think it does have a controller port in it, which is good. So if you want to use your original controllers and a turbo tap, you can. But this is really, really neat. I think, like, especially if you want to get into the system, which is basically a lost 16-bit system for a lot of people. Like, if you like shmups, and also really good platformers from this era, and Bomberman, this is the system for you. It was a lot of fun, and it's sad that a lot of people missed out on it. Maybe people get to play some Legendary Axe 2, one of our favorites.
Of course.
But I think this is really great. I don't know whether I'm going to pick this up, and here's why. I already have the original hardware, as well as an SSDS3, which allows me to play, files if I need to of the CD games. And I also have the Mister, which is already an FPGA system that can play all of these. The only thing that this has over the Mister is that it's easier to use, which is a big factor, but it can also play the original cartridges and CDs. So that's still pretty darn appealing. And $200 is honestly not a bad price for this. What do you think about the pricing?
Well,
I
no,
think
it's
it's
like I said, it's like far cheaper than the actual thing, which is hard to find anyway.
I think it's very reasonable. Honestly, I think it's it could be a lot worse. And
Yeah, I mean, most of Analog's products level out around there, with the single exception of their first one, the
the
Mini NT.
yeah, the
Or the
analog
NT Mini, excuse me.
Mini is what, $500, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, this might be one of those things where like maybe I do want this kind of things. It'll be fun to figure that out. And just a couple quick items before we wrap things up. My Quake Vinyl arrived. Quake 9 Inch Nails said that they were going to release the Quake soundtrack on vinyl, and it came and it looks great. I can't wait to give it a go. I know you're not as big on the soundtrack as some other people, but I just think it's cool that 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, it's cool they did it. Yeah.
Effort. And also this one floored me. I thought this was really cool.
Yes.
Why don't you go over this since you added it? But I didn't.
Yeah, I don't have much detail for this, but this is something that like has very conspicuously been missing as far as localization is concerned.
It's really, it's very much sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, so like the series Fist of the North Star, we've gotten the anime, the whole thing, including Hokuto no Ken 2. We've gotten the whole thing,
and it's very affordable too. I might add.
Yeah, it is.
And
we've gotten the OVAs. We've gotten the OVAs. We've gotten there's a Japanese only.
Too.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a Japanese only PS1 game and the Japanese only PS2 fighter by the Guilty Gear people. So we didn't get those.
The recent games though.
Yes, we got the Hokuto Muso games. We got the first one. We got both of them, but the second one I think was digital only in the States. We got Fist of the North Star: The Lost Paradise, which we probably shouldn't have gotten, except that Yakuza's popular enough that they're like, let's bring it over. Which itself, by the way, came with the Fist of the North Star Sega Master System game, which, I mean, we got a version of it, but it wasn't titled Fist of the North Star. It's just kind of like on the Genesis, we got Last Battle, which is a Fist of the North Star game that's not called Fist of the North Star anymore.
Yeah.
So we've been getting a bunch of Fist of the North Star stuff, but
you're forgetting another important entry. John Cena's favorite movie, the live action.
The live action hilarious butchery, yes. But strangely, and like I said, very conspicuously, we never officially got the manga, even though it's one of the sort of core, heavily influential mangas of its time. In fact, I mean, as much as I love talking about JoJo, Part 1 of JoJo, Phantom Blood, if you look at the manga for that, not so much the anime, but for the manga, Jonathan Joestar, the main character, looks a little too close for comfort, like bordering on infringement of Kenshiro, the main character.
Yeah, you could tell
it
was kind of a fan tribute.
It's a little close for comfort, but yeah, Fist of the North Star is a great manga, and
the art is
considering so cool. The art's gorgeous. Considering all the weird, obscure stuff we have gotten, how do you not bring over Fist of the North Star? But it's finally coming in summer of 2021, summer next year. So we're going to get it out of nowhere.
This was like my big reason for wanting to read Scanlations is because Fist of the North Star is a really cool looking manga. The proportions are constantly changed, are out of whack on purpose all the time.
Yeah.
And
Zed is a pretty big guy, and then when you fight him, he's like a giant.
Yeah, I actually love that the proportions change constantly. It's not because of it, that's the style. Like it's not because the artist doesn't know how to draw, because he certainly does.
He clearly does.
It was an artistic choice to do that, and it's really, really amazing because it's so cool. All of a sudden, the bad guy will morph into a fucking giant that can pick you up with one hand.
And he does too. It's like, really?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's full of viscera. It's a very violent.
Oh yeah, it was ultra violent for the time, and mostly holds up as being ultra violent even now.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. I absolutely love Fist of the North Star, and I think the manga's the best version of it.
Like it just makes me like going back to the weird delay on this one, it just makes me think of the JoJo manga. They tried out part 3, it didn't work with the OVA controversy, and then JoJo kind of disappeared for a while, but then we got the fighting game on PS3, we got a thing on PS4. It was only when the anime started getting localized in like, well, it came out in 2012, got localized, I forgot if it was that year or a little later, 2013. Finally, we got the JoJo manga that's been around since the 80s.
And it's super popular now, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the same thing with Fist of the North Star, except we got the anime. We got a bunch of games. Like, did somebody, like, wake up one day and go, like, wait, I think we localized the manga, but did we? And then just realize it's just never been localized? Oh, shit, we got to bring it over.
Here's the thing. Back in the day, they tried to localize it twice.
Okay.
And it was done during like the dark age of like manga. So like basically like anything that started up almost never got finished. It was unless it was by Viz, back in the day, and it was like a super popular. It was super popular off the bat. Like this was back when they tried to release them like manga as like single issue, like American style comics. They tried that.
Yeah. There was a little bit of that.
So they did that with the Pokemon manga, and before that they did that with Ranma 1/2, and Ranma 1/2 was popular enough to get caught up. I think Dragon Ball got that treatment as well back in the day, but there weren't many manga that wrote it to completion. And Fist of the North Star, I think, got like 4 single issues, and then Viz stopped it. And then a company after that called Gastoon Entertainment tried it again in these lush, like trade paperback size comic books, and they colorized it, which is insane because this is a black and white comic.
Yeah, as most manga are.
Yeah, almost everything. And they colorized it to try to make it more appealing to Americans, I guess. And they only got 8 volumes in, and the last 4 volumes are like super, super hard to find. And the company went out of business. And they also tried to also release subsequently like the prequel series, was Fist of the Blue Sky.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, this is all we had, and it was probably in some kind of rights hell because of that bankruptcy. I'm guessing that's what happened, because nobody's ever tried to do it since. I still have volumes 1 through 5 because I just loved it so much, and I really, really wanted to read more, but the only way to do it was through scanlations and fan translation. So I'm really glad about this. You know that I've been chomping at the bit to want to read through the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
And I occasionally pick it up and start reading again, but I will have much more of an impetus to do it if there's a volume of it coming out every couple months or every few months. I just hope that they don't stop, and like it's popular enough. I have a feeling that it's going to be popular enough because Americans know what Fist of the North Star is. Like you said, there are plenty of successful products.
I was gonna say enough Americans know what it is.
Yeah, and also it might just be one of those things where the hardcore fans talk about it enough that just with JoJo it becomes a thing here. So JoJo is rightfully got its due finally in America.
Yeah, it took a couple decades, but we got it.
It also took a very successful meme.
Oh, you thought it was X, but it was me, Dio?
Well, a couple
to be continued?
To be continued as well. So, actually 2 successful memes. And then people really, really found out about it. But, and also, your Skype description where it says JoJo is amazing.
Yes. that helps contribute to the localization.
But I am just super psyched about this. I can't wait. It's supposed to come around next year, right?
Summer of 2021.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know what month, but in there somewhere.
And finally, the last thing I'm going to go over, or we really should be wrapping things up, is uh, this kind of came out of nowhere, but Dexter Returns was announced, which
Yeah, I
is
don't know how much I want that.
which is a limited series. I think it's going to be good because why would they come back for one more
Yeah,
season?
maybe it's been long enough that it'll come off as fresh again.
Well, why would they come back for no reason? They're they want to end the series on a high note. They know that people were really disappointed with the way that the series proper ended. Which is basically with a super fucking whimper.
Yes. I overall, I really didn't mind until those last 20, 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, he just basically threw up his hands, but like the character deserves a much bigger ending. I mean, he is a gigantic piece of shit. I mean, like that's kind of the point, right? He's a serial killer that kills other serial killers, but he's also still a serial killer.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, like we follow him, we empathize with him to a degree because we're following him, but like look at what he does on the daily.
Yeah, I mean, he is not doing it to save people. He's doing it to stave his own hunger.
That's the whole thing. He's got to kill something. May as well kill bad guys. So he's like incidentally saving people.
Yeah, he's saving people, not because he's altruistic about it. He's doing it because it's self-serving. I think that I've never really watched the series. I watched a bit of the first season, and I know it's really got up to basically season 4 or 5.
4.
Yeah.
Season 5's not bad, but season 4 is like the peak. Season 4 is
season
with
4
John
is John
Lithgow
Lithgow
as the villain,
is
and
the serial killer. Goes
oh
up
my
against.
god, it's so good. He is because I know he's been villains in movies before.
Cliffhanger.
Like I haven't really seen those. I mostly knew him as the goofy Third Rock from the Sun guy and the Shrek villain. So he was still a villain, but he was a comical villain. He's fucking scary in Dexter, like legitimately scary.
I hear that's the pinnacle of the series, and a lot of people say that, including my fiance.
Man, like yeah, I mean like even if seasons 5 through 8 were still very good, like you're not touching season 4.
Yeah, so this is part of the long list of series that ended really stupidly. Like good series that ended stupidly and therefore ruined their legacy, including Game of Thrones most famously ended with a super fucking whimper, and a real stupid ending. And there are plenty of other series that have made a good comeback. Roseanne is still running. I mean, as the Connors, but that was a.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Roseanne without Roseanne.
Roseanne without Roseanne is still a good show, man. Good writers. It's one of those things. But you also have plenty of other shows like Will and Grace had a really great comeback, and ended much better than its original ending. A lot of it's a chance for redemption, and they're only talking about this as a limited series, which means it's one season.
Yeah, which means they planned a fucking ending, which is nice.
They're planning it from start to finish. They know where it's going. It knows where it's going to end up, and then that's it. Which is really, really great. I think everything should be like that.
Well, yeah, if you just keep writing, if you write yourself into a corner, then that's the problem with fan demand. It was such a good show, do more, and they do more without knowing where they're supposed to go, and then the show ends terribly, and the fans are like, well, that sucks. And it's like, what do you think was going to happen?
Lost ended, or like anything like that.
Yeah, Lost, they had an idea, and then people wanted more, and they're like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, I prefer the like Watchmen style of renewal.
You just do your own thing.
Well, they made the first season. They're like the creator pieced out because they said what they wanted to say, and that was it. And they said you can, like, somebody else who has a good idea can come back and continue it, but this is what I came up with, and this is what I wanted to say. And Fargo's like that. Fargo has a season whenever it is ready. The most recent season, season 4, is excellent. I'm so glad that it hasn't been run into the ground. The creator of it releases a season. Every season is self-contained, has minor connective tissue to the rest of the series. Very minor. Maybe a character carries over at best, or has a connection to somebody in one of the other seasons or the movie or whatever. But the connective tissue is very small and therefore basically just fans, you know. But the fourth season is great, and it's very much self-contained because it happens way before the rest of the series. So I love it when this happens because it was like Venture Brothers. They only released it when they were ready, and they had an idea for what they wanted. Unfortunately, that got canceled, but it's one of those things. Hopefully, I'm very optimistic that they can come up with something good that people will like, and I hope it goes well. And it also gives me some time to catch up on the series myself because I want to watch that seasons 1 through 4. I really do. Since you recommend it. Anything else, Lotus? I know we're a little long in the tooth here.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. Please remember to subscribe to Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. Well, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps to keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursdays for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, where we will be going over more PS1. More Castlevania.
More FromSoft.
No, actually, we are going to be talking about a spookier topic for just the season. We're going to talk about our love for Stephen King and his various adaptations and
works,
and all that stuff, and works. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Okay, everybody, we'll catch everybody very soon on Corrective on Thursday. See you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.